The Montana DNRC gives the green light to a controversial Flathead water bottling plant. A transient will spend decades in prison for pushing a man to his death over a bridge. He took a risk in the wild north. Now we celebrate what he taught us about bears.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for being with us on this Friday night. I'm Dennis Bragg. Jill Valley is off. Get ready for some more snow this weekend. Our Storm Tracker weather team says conditions will remain active going into the weekend, even when you're not. You're sitting at home. Heavy to moderate snow expected in the mountains, so take extra caution if you have to travel over those passes. For the latest, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Sarah Dale. Sharon?
That's right, Dennis. We are looking at some very active weather here, not only this weekend, but into much, if not all, of next week. Today, a little taste of what's to come. This was Hamilton earlier from our First Security Bank iCam, seeing a little bit of sunshine, but also snow squalls over the Bitterroot Mountains there in the background. So almost a little bit of everything today. Right now, the radar not completely quiet, but a bit quieter than what we saw earlier today. We will see the snow showers pick up in intensity here overnight tonight, and definitely throughout much of your Saturday, with some light accumulation possible, especially for those in the northwest quarter of the state. A warmer system on tap for Sunday. More details on the way.
New at 10 tonight, a man from Washington, D.C. is dead after a skiing accident at Big Sky Resort. Gallatin County officials say 37-year-old Matthew J. Montag struck a tree on the Elkhorn Run yesterday afternoon. Montag was located by fellow skiers. They performed CPR until Big Sky Ski Resort Ski Patrol could get there. The patrol tried desperately to save his life, moving to a helicopter to be airlifted, but Montag died later. Big Sky Resort also released a statement this evening saying they're deeply saddened by the death on the mountain. We extend our heartfelt condolences to the guest family and friends during this difficult time. The Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation is upholding a company's controversial permit to open a bottled water plant in the Flathead Valley. The Montana Artesian Water Company has been working for over 2 years to get state approval for the water plant, which would draw water underneath a slough area along the Flathead River near Creston. The company wants to be able to pull the equivalent of more than 1 billion regular bottles of water using wells tapping into the groundwater every year. That's about 230 million gallons. The Montana Department of Environmental Quality granted company owner Lou Weaver a permit last year, but opponents challenged a preliminary water use permit from the DNRC with a multi-day hearing in Kalispell. Critics were worried about the company's wells drawing down water supplies for surrounding properties and creating additional traffic in the rural area. The company argued those concerns were unfounded. Today, DNRC announced its findings in the case, saying it would grant Montana Artesian its permit, saying the company has proven the operation won't degrade water quality. Opponents have 30 days to petition the courts to hear any appeal. A moment's anger leads to 7 decades in prison for a transient in the Flathead. Flathead District Court Judge Dan Wilson sentences Cecil Thomas Rice to 70 years in the Montana State Prison for pushing 34-year-old Anthony Walters during an argument over Rice's girlfriend at the Old Steel Bridge last spring. Walters' body was found by boaters about 1.5 miles past the mouth of the river months later. Rice was found guilty of deliberate homicide in early December. It's not exactly boom times, but Montana's major cities are showing some positive economic growth as 2018 gets underway. However, the latest report from the University of Montana's Bureau of Business and Economic Research shows there are still some trouble spots too, especially when it comes to agriculture and energy, which are being slammed by slumping prices. BBER researchers have started their annual statewide tour to discuss the findings, making presentations in Missoula this morning. The focus of the report this year is on higher education, a sector still critical to Montana's economy, but showing some changes in how people perceive the value of a college degree. However, there are other high points in the report. That includes timber, where a boom in commercial and residential building is actually creating some shortages of lumber products, and the tech sector, which is remarkably robust, especially in Missoula, Bozeman, Kalispell, helping to fuel building, job growth, and spending.
The tech growth, primarily in Bozeman and Missoula, but also in other communities around the state, has really captured a lot of attention and interest, but it's also showing up. This has been a year that Missoula has done quite a bit better, as have Bozeman and some of the other communities. And that's been part of the story, has been what's going on with tech growth.
Researchers also say the Montana healthcare industry continues to grow, driven largely by our aging population. The next presentations in the series are Tuesday, January 30th in Billings, January 31st in Bozeman, and February 1st at the Northwestern Energy Office in Butte. More than 75 nonprofit service providers and more than 100 community volunteers roll up their sleeves and open their hearts to hundreds without homes or close to losing their shelter. Project Community Connect was moved to Zootown Church in its 6th year, but MTN's Connor McCauley reports the move didn't diminish the turnout of people needing help.
People from all over the Missoula community came together today to put on an event to help others in need.
We have our 12th annual Project Community Connect, which is put together by the At-Risk Housing Coalition. So that's a lot of agencies that are working on issues around low-income housing and homelessness.
A lot of agencies was an understatement for this event. Anything you could possibly need was available. There were a variety of food and beverages being handed out by different volunteer groups. You could receive a new haircut, dental treatment, or even medical attention like vaccines, which were offered on site.
But you know, when people don't have health insurance, it's a real barrier to getting good health care. And that's why this outreach that we do, especially with the backing of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Caravan Service, allows us to offer such an incredible deal. Free vaccinations. All you gotta do is show up.
And all you had to do is show up for a number of different services. One of those services was free clothing, which was provided by the generous Missoula community.
And we've had bins set up all over Missoula, and people fill the bins with clothes, and the three of us empty the bins, sort all the clothes, and then end up bringing them out here for people to get.
The hard work put in by these three was enough to bring in more clothing than last year and give some people some much needed relief.
Oh my gosh, people have been so thankful, so wonderful. Yeah, we've been hugged and told thank you 100 times.
People really do appreciate it.
While people in need appreciate the volunteers' efforts, so did the event organizer.
We could not do this without our community and our volunteers. We have social work students this year that are helping us. We have volunteers that have been doing this for years as well. So we could not make this event happen if we didn't have community volunteers.
Today, as we salute the badge, MTN's Augusta McDonald shows us that for one city police detective in Missoula, hitting the books also helps not only with his job, but all aspects of life.
Detective Mitchell Lange is no slouch when it comes to keeping his mind sharp.
I try to, my goal, and it really just depends on kind of what's going on in my life, but I usually try to do about a book a week, and sometimes it'll be more than that, sometimes it'll be a book every 2 weeks or something like that. You know, a lot of the things that I read I don't necessarily agree with, but I like to hear why people think that that's the way that they do.
While working for Missoula City Police for close to 9 years, he's earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in his free time.
Higher education, even though it's hard, I wouldn't want to go back to not knowing the things that I know now. And so that's been a big push to continue to learn.
He says his job is challenging and rewarding.
Everyone loves a mystery. To challenge yourself and to think through and to be creative and to coordinate with people who are very, very, very intelligent people and to get ideas and to learn from those people on how to do things better or to come to the correct outcome is for me that's a personally rewarding aspect of it.
Reporting in Missoula, I'm Augusta McDonald for MTN News.
Lange served in the Marine Corps. Before his time with Missoula Police, he went to 6 different community colleges while he was enlisted and moving around the country and the world. A researcher who's legendary for his advancement of our understanding of bears will be in the spotlight this weekend as one of the films to be screened during the Flathead Lake International Cinema Fest. It's a documentary filled with lost footage, pieced together with a few tears and lots of fond memories of Dr. Chuck Jonkel. It's been almost 2 years since Chuck Jonkel's remarkable life came to a close. It was a life full of discovery, travel, quite a bit of risk, and advancing the science of bears by leaps and bounds. Walking Bear Comes Home is the final look at Jonkel's life, a project that was starting to come together even before he passed away. Producer and Jonkel's colleague Frank Tyro tells me that like his work, the film itself was built around discovery.
He showed up one day with this great big reel, a 16 millimeter, no sound, some of it black and white film. And we're going through this, and it's like, my gosh, here's one of his techs doing artificial respiration on a polar bear. And there's footage that was shot after a helicopter crash in which nobody was injured, but they were just kind of left way out in the wilderness, way above the Arctic Circle.
They're curious about people, and I've had many times walk up
to 3, 4, 5 feet from me and look and sniff and look and sniff and look and sniff and then turn around and walk away.
But Walking Bear is also a very personal story, and while friendship makes it a moving film, it also made it tough in the editing suite.
It was blood, sweat, and tears because, seeing his face after he had passed away, there's parts of it that were really hard to edit, but I'm really happy with the way it came out.
Walking Bear Comes Home is one of dozens of films which will be screened during the Cinema Fest this weekend at Showboat Cinemas in Polson. More than 15 countries are represented, with 22 filmmakers coming to the festival. Tyro says it's really a golden age for independent film now, with very high-quality productions that convey all emotions.
You can shoot really good stuff on an iPhone. You can shoot really good stuff on a really very inexpensive camera and still make, beautiful films.
Walking Bear Comes Home shows Saturday at 4 p.m. For a complete list of all the Cinema Fest screenings, you can visit our website. Coming up, Aaron has details on this active forecast for the weekend, including how much snow we might see, plus new details revealed about the moments leading up to that deadly Amtrak derailment in Washington. The latest on the investigation still ahead here on KPAX.